Two. Okay, there we go. What's good, YouTube? Mase X back with another video. And per usual, we got my man Ross in the building. What's up, boy?
Friday After Next is a Christmas movie. Not sure who wants to argue that with me, but it is, in fact, a Christmas movie. What's going on, man?
Christmas movie.
Yeah, certain people don't feel as though it's a Christmas movie, but that's a yearly argument in this household.
Hey, where are we from? That's definitely a Christmas Carol type movie.
A unique one, but a Christmas movie nonetheless.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, back with another episode. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, definitely like and subscribe. Every like and subscribe literally helps this channel on the road to 1K, man. So we're going to go ahead and get started, not waste any time, man. We're 25% into the season at the time of this recording. So a lot of buzz going on. We got a lot of topics we'll be talking about today. We'll go ahead and start things off, man. Taking a look at the early season MVP. So we're going to start things off taking a look at the early season MVP at this point of the season. So, Ross, who you got?
All right. So we're going to start it off with the early season MVP. And just as a disclaimer, small sample size, a quarter of the way through the season, anything can change. I got one team coming in last, and then that team is lightening it up, and we'll revisit that here in a moment. But for my early season, way too early MVP, I got Josh Allen. Now, they're coming off a big-time loss against the Baltimore Ravens from Sunday Night Football. But when you look at Josh Allen's numbers, 814 yards, 7 touchdowns, he has yet to throw an interception with a 3-1 record. I think someone like Josh Allen might mess around and really win the outright MVP. I think when you look at Josh Allen's style, he's a gunslinger. He's another Brett Favre out there. He will throw 3 interceptions for that 1 touchdown that really matters. So I really am impressed with, Josh Allen, with the transition that the team's dealt with and him embracing that and him leading this team somewhere. He's not really worried about, what they're doing out in New Jersey with the Jets or down here in Florida with the Dolphins. They're focusing on what they need to do, and that's preparing for a potential eventual battle with the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals of the world later on in the postseason potentially. So I will go ahead and give Josh Allen my way too early first quarter of the league early season MVP.
Hey, man, can't disagree with that one. As a fantasy owner, Josh Allen ain't been the most consistent, but yeah, real life, he's definitely that's a legit one.
Like not an MVP of fantasy. Like when people draft him in fantasy, I just never understood that. But to each its own. But sounds like an owner to me who's a little stressed out.
Yeah, man, 7 points, bro. I needed a little more than 7 points, but yeah, he's somebody because he's for the Bills to win. I mean, he has to be Superman essentially. So if they win and he does what we feel he's probably going to have to do for them to win, yeah, I could definitely see him getting his first MVP.
I hope so. And you know how it is, man. MVP is what it is, most valuable player. But right. I do think the NFL will politic to where they don't give another one to Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. So they're kind of rooting for rooting for Josh Allen underneath the table. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this on Josh Allen, and we can go ahead and spin it off to you, man. Without Josh Allen, as talented as those guys are on the Bills roster, that record is flipped without Josh Allen. So it is one of them things where he's putting that team on his back. So, Hey, 1 quarter down, got 3 to go.
Yeah, that's the fun part of it. But yeah, man. So my early MVP, and I'm not going to lie, we kind of talked about this before recording. Man, I'm just tired of the QBs winning everything. We talking about the Heisman, the MVP in the NFL. Like, when did it become a quarterback's award? I mean, I know that we all know the answer once they started changing all the rules, but I'm looking outside the quarterback position, and my early season MVP is none other than King Henry. Derrick Henry, Baltimore Ravens. Started off a little bit slow against the Chiefs opening game. Of course, new to the team, maybe a little bit different style of offense and whatnot. He had to get acclimated. But after 2 games, bro, I mean, he's been on a tear. Like, we all saw him under the lights, opening drive. Was it the first play?
I was the first play from
First play
scrimmage,
from
bro.
scrimmage.
Someone my size outrunning someone your size
Right.
off an angle, bro. That was insane.
The way he did
Nobody
DeMar
would have been
Hamlin,
upset if he got hawked down at this point in his career.
not at all.
My
Like DeMar
goodness.
Hamlin, I mean, he made DeMar Hamlin look slow
I
on
don't
that
even
run.
think DeMar Hamlin would have been able to get him to the ground if he did catch him.
Full head of steam. But, on the season, 480 yards rushing on only 80 carries. 6 yards per carry is elite in the NFL.
That is elite, yeah.
It's elite. It's only 4 games. We don't expect that to sustain because that's Barry Sanders type rushing efficiency. Derrick Henry, I thought he was going to run off a cliff this year. You know how he usually goes star, then goes to a new team, which may be past their prime, and then they kind of tail off. And the first game, like I
DeMarco
said,
Murray effect.
yeah, the DeMarco Murray effect. I was expecting that. I actually said on an episode a little earlier, a few weeks back, that he was done. And he's definitely proven a lot of people wrong. There's no age cliff for King Henry for sure. Pro Football Focus, he's the number 2 running back right now behind Kenneth Walker. Pro Football Focus, all the advanced metrics show that Derrick Henry is still in his prime and he's still an elite player. And that's why I got him as my early season MVP.
And I can get behind that at the end of the day. Obviously I got Josh Allen as the early season, but that's your early season. I think this could be one of those situations where he could be on pace to actually win the MVP. Like you mentioned, the NFL, man, it's a soap opera, and the soap opera starting the quarterbacks. But it would be really nice if the last guy to ever win the Heisman Trophy as a running back could be the first since was it Adrian Peterson who won the MVP last in 2012?
Yeah, 2012.
He's going to give the comeback player of the year to both he and Peyton Manning. So somebody had to get one or the other. So they felt Adrian Peterson was the MVP that year. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure you'll find it later, the first running back to win MVP since AP. I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't think that's a wild projection. I don't think that's a reach. I think King Henry got adapted to the Baltimore scheme. The Baltimore scheme adapted to him. Todd Monken drew some plays up to help that man be great. First play from scrimmage. I don't care if they're playing the game on the road, at home, if they're playing out in Timbuktu, that Buffalo defense is not to be played with. And first play from scrimmage, like, everybody's fresh. That's insane. You can't get that done with everybody. 250 pounds. Unreal.
Yeah,
So
250 plus, because he was 250 his rookie year. So you know how that goes with weight as we get older, man. So he could be close to 260 right now for all we know.
Best 260 I've ever seen with that type of top end speed for that type of running, man.
Top end, and he was gaining. He was running away from him. Like, it wasn't no, Trey Ross run where they kind of catch up to you at the end type of thing when you busted Joe. What was it, 99 yarder?
It was a 99 yarder, yes.
Yeah, 99 yarder. But what I found crazy, like I said, last 2 games, 350 yards, 7 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. He makes me laugh, bro. Derrick Henry. When you think he's done, we've been saying that he's going to hit that cliff for like 3-4 years now, and he still hasn't. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move forward now from the MVP to the early season coach of the year. And for me, I got Kevin O'Connell from the Minnesota Vikings. So Kevin O'Connell, you guys, for those that saw the last episode, I was a little bearish on the Vikings. That was before their last game. It looked impressive again. And I said, you know what? I might have been wrong. Over under 6.5. Ross, you was definitely more adamant that I was definitely selling them short. And I thought about it, and I'm looking at the offense a little bit more in depth, and I'm looking at that defense. Woo, they do have talent. They got a lot more talent than I was giving them credit. But O'Connell, man, he really is like an offensive guru, essentially. Kirk Cousins, they haven't missed a beat. Kevin O'Connell, man, resurrecting. Was Sam Darnold, this might have been his last stop for all we know. He was supposed to originally play a couple games for the Minnesota Vikings. They're in a rebuild, and then maybe by week 5, week 6, all right, JJ, thanks, Sam Darnold. JJ is going to take it from here. And I think that Kevin O'Connell has done an excellent job getting his team ready. They're playing with swag and confidence. They're playing like they believe they can win. And they're saying, nah, this is not a rebuild. We're going to go out and we're going to get this. We have weapons on both sides of the ball. We believe in our coach, Kevin O'Connell. And, I got to tip my hat because he's definitely, so far in this season, he's exceeded my expectations, Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. So I got to go O'Connell for my coach of the year.
Yeah, man, when you pay Justin Jefferson the money that you paid him, you ain't thinking rebuild. And, as a Washington fan, it eats me at my core every time they show the graphic of all the assistant coaches we had in the building, and they've all gone on to become successful head coaches.
Yeah.
We got Kyle Shanahan, we got Matt LaFleur, we got Mike McDaniel, and who's the fourth one? We got, did I say Sean McVay? LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, yeah, all those guys, but they don't talk about O'Connell because O'Connell wasn't on the Shanahan tree. He was on the Gruden tree. We had him in the building.
Oh, he's in the Gruden tree.
He was in the Gruden tree.
I don't know why I thought he was in the Shanahan tree.
Yeah, he was our offensive coordinator. Ron Rivera had the chance to keep him, shook his hand, sent him to LA with McVay. OC went to, I just know that, I could tell that O'Connell didn't want Kirk to go, but when you think about it, man, like I mentioned in the last episode, that was probably the best thing to happen for this team because Kirk, he's earned his money. He's gonna get his money. And if you give that man his money, then you're not gonna have enough money left over to build around Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins isn't a Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Donald mid 2010s where you can. I say Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, where you can
especially at that age as well.
In the age coming off and all that stuff. So you build a defense to support this offense with a new quarterback and Sam Darnold. We went over all that. And Kevin O'Connell is that guy. Kevin O'Connell is one of the best quarterback gurus in the league. And don't be surprised if, I just really feel like they can really sneak a 10-win season in there. And with this division, it's going to be really tough to do so. I'm with you on that. I like it. My guy, I had them finish in fourth place in the preseason, and right now it looks like I'm eating some words.
Okay.
Yeah. My quarter year, coach of the year, Mike Macdonald. Yeah, Mike Macdonald. Hey, 1 quarter in, got 3 to go.
I already knew where you was going, man.
Listen, man, Mike Macdonald was a guy who I wanted to get hired with Washington before we went with Dan Quinn. Was a young up and comer. He's like basically the Sean McVay on the defensive side. Who better than to take that job for the Seattle Seahawks to go against Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay twice a year than someone like Mike Macdonald? That's going to really battle test him. And the offensive situation with Geno Smith has been going better than expected. You're still waiting to see when Geno Smith's going to come back down to earth, but he's been a real competent starter in this league. You look at the numbers. Right now they're 3-1. They came off of a loss to the Detroit Lions where they were competitive towards the end of that game. Like they gave them a scare towards the end of the game. They're currently sitting number 13 in overall total defense. They average 21.3 points allowed per game. Not the greatest, but an overall landscape last season with Pete Carroll before they fired him, they were I think they're 23rd in the league overall total defense, and they were allowing 23.6 points per game. Everything I've seen so far is leading me to believe that Mike Macdonald's doing really well in Seattle. He knows what he's doing. He's not too rattled under the pressure of being in a really powerful, still unpredictable NFC West division. So I do feel as though by December I might be the first one to let you know, hey, I was wrong. The Seattle Seahawks, they're not in the mood to rebuild, and they're good with what they got. So that was going to be my quarter year coach of the year. The rookie, Mike Macdonald.
Hey, shout out to you for admitting that as well. Looks like both of us, at least at this point in the season, man. Me with the Vikings and O'Connell. Same thing with you and the Seahawks.
NFL parody, man. You never know, bro.
Yeah, you just never know, man. And speaking of never knowing, if that makes any grammatical sense. Biggest surprises. Honestly, this season has had a bunch of surprises. So I am pretty curious to see who your surprise at this point in the season. Who's your biggest surprise?
Take my bias cap off, man. My biggest surprise. You already know where I'm going.
Yeah, I already know. I'm
All
with
right.
you. I'm with
The
you.
Washington Commanders, big surprise. I remember going to the week 1 game when they came down here to play Tampa Bay. They got their heads handed to them. I look over at my buddy. He's 20 years older than me. He's been a fan since the Joe Gibbs glory days. And so I said, hey, man, we got something. I know we're coming off of a loss, but Jaden Daniels, we got something here. Now, honestly, we should be 2-2. You know, if Malik Neighbors can, catch that one last pass, or if the Giants kicker doesn't get hurt, they're probably not beating the Giants either. And then it might be a whirlwind of panic starting going to who knows. But you can't tell me, oh, well, if Cincinnati would have done this, you guys would have lost. Or if Arizona would have done this, those were just straight up wins. They took those wins on the road. I've never seen anything like it as a Washington fan. This kid is a beast. I love what Adam Peters is doing. He's not in the mood. He's not in the market to trade for the big receiver. You recently hear the news about Devontae Adams wanting to be traded. Everybody, should Washington go? No, that offense is nice. Now, the defense can do some work.
It is.
But this is a huge surprise. And I can be on here until 2:30 in the morning talking about what a surprise it is with Washington from top to bottom, from front office to the janitor. But we're going to keep this nice and sweet. But yes, my surprise is Washington, man. And I will say this, though. They got Cleveland this weekend. I think that's a trap game. You're at home in D.C. You got the Browns coming in. They're just tumultuously bad. I mean, pardon the bad grammar on offense, but that defense is still something.
I think that'll be a really good test for Jaden Daniels.
A scary test, but nonetheless, but a good test. The second best defense because I think the Tampa Bay defense might be a little bit better than Cleveland, just my opinion. But it's only going to get tougher. You still got Baltimore down the road. But I can't tell you how surprised I am that Washington is exceeding expectations this early. It might be another situation of the Houston Texans and their former rookie quarterback.
I feel you on that. Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels, honestly, before I get into mine, I think Jaden Daniels will probably be the number one vote for biggest surprise or the Commanders' offense as a whole. But Jaden Daniels, I just want to say he's definitely impressed me. I didn't know he was going to start off like this, and he's showing that he's special, and he's going to be here for a while. I really think that he's the real deal. Just watching him throw that ball. But my biggest surprise at this moment, I got to go with the NFL as a whole in the passing game. This year, man, we're looking at some historically low numbers just as a whole at the quarterback position. I mean, just a fun stat, and shout out to fellow YouTuber KTO, but he was talking about the QBs and the lack of passing, and there's a few reasons for that. One, the average age of a quarterback is probably, I think it's the lowest in like 60 or 70 years. I believe it's around 26, 27 years old, the average age of the starting quarterback to open the season this year. And what comes with inexperience, and defenses are going to feast on that. And we're also seeing the combination of too high safety looks, and we're also seeing more aggressive defenses. When you got quarterbacks needing experience like Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, even Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, guys that have been in the league a couple years, but hell, they're under 27. A lot of young quarterbacks, because quarterbacks just aren't being nurtured like they used to be. They want you to be Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Luck, RG3 out the gate, splashing your rookie year, and then you end up with products like Daniel Jones and so far Bo Nix, who's been disappointing as hell. It's just attributed to a lot of the passing woes that we've seen. 202 yards per game is the average. The year of the running back, running backs are definitely taking advantage of that. But yeah, I definitely got to go with my biggest surprise is just the struggles in the passing game just across the NFL.
Yeah, for a quarterback, 250 is really that sweet spot in terms of passing yardage in the game. And we always talk about how, an offensive player is coming out there and he's doing really well without any tape to be studied off of, like a Taylor Heineke back in 2020, or a rookie who had an explosive year. And then you got defenses who can game plan the tape that you put out there. Well, don't forget, it works both ways. Got a lot of defensive guys, they're doing well. And I'm talking about defensive coordinators, the way they're scheming up their defenses to succeed. Now, you know, some offensive play callers. You got Ben Johnson in Detroit, and you got, anybody who's a product of the Shanahan tree, all those offensive gurus, and you got my boy, Big Bad Andy Reid. They're going to be game planning to expose those defenses too. But I definitely agree with you. I was looking at the numbers. We were just talking about Josh Allen's numbers, that defense effect. I was like, oh my goodness. And for reasons like that, it's making the product that much more entertaining.
For me,
it really is.
For me too.
Because we're about to find out, like, who really out here trying to make some noise, man? Because, I'm honestly, Mason, I haven't really seen an offense like, because we see with the New Orleans Saints. I was in on the New Orleans Saints after week 2, but 2 weeks in, after that, they ain't really been doing much because
they've come back to earth.
Yeah, pretty quickly too. Pretty quickly.
Yeah, real quickly. I know. Big Will. I know he'll be happy about that. I know the whole Derek Carr debate that y'all had a few episodes back. So he's probably cheesing and grinning right now with
it's
that.
Weird though, because I was like, oh, Derek Carr can still do it, but they're finishing 4th. And you guys, oh yeah, I think Derek Carr is not that good, but they're finishing 2nd. It was such like a wild back and forth on that one for real.
Yeah,
I still believe in Derek Carr, but I think they're going to finish 4th place. But now it's looking like they're going to have to re-strategize some game plans, and then I think they'll mess around and be just fine. Who they have this Sunday?
I don't know. I don't even know the Colts schedule like that. Shit.
Hey, my team too. 1 week at a time. I can't be looking at all these schedules at once.
I go literally 1 week at a time. It's one of those where a lot of surprises, but what comes with surprises also comes with disappointments, man. So I'll go ahead and start this one off, man. You know who I'm disappointed as hell in?
I gotta hear it because I didn't. And people, we discussed things in production before we on live. I think this was my idea, the element of surprise, because kind of want to hear it, and I don't know what he's about to say. I think I know. Can I guess? And then you tell me. Let me guess. Yo, boys.
That's actually a hell of a guess. I wanted to do that, but I didn't want to be too predictable with you. But it is an offense. It's not a player. It's an offense. Colts definitely could have been on this list, but then I would have rambled like 12 minutes unless you cut me off. I'm going with the Jets offense. So they've been disappointed as hell. Honestly, I didn't put them as a surprise because I saw it coming. I mean, look at the summer. Look at the summer camp. Aaron Rodgers, and there were other players as well. I can't think of off the top of my head.
Wilson, when they had a little dust up.
That as well. Who's the defender on the other side that just got there?
Sauce? No, you ain't talking about Sauce.
That wants to leave.
Oh, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
Come to Washington, baby.
Hassan Reddick, Aaron Rodgers. It seemed like Robert Saleh didn't even know why they were missing camp. It just seemed like Saleh just didn't have a grip on the team, like a lack of respect, like players taking off. And, I'm like, that's going to be an issue with camaraderie and cohesion. We saw just a few days ago, Saleh, which one thing, now they're talking about each other to the media. Robert Saleh telling the media, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers is probably doing things too complex. He needs to slow down. And Aaron Rodgers is to the media instead of to each other, man to man, coach to quarterback. He says, well, why don't you get your players accountable? That's not verbatim, but just to paraphrase, that's what Aaron Rodgers said. Well, don't blame me. You need to hold your players accountable if they're not able to keep up. And like I just said, maybe if everybody was showing up and taking everything 100% serious and not just thinking it's going to be a free ride to the Super Bowl just because you got some names on offense and defense, maybe y'all would have the cadence down packed. So, they're disappointing. Even players like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, who aren't in the news into that drama and stuff. But Breece Hall, honestly, you look at real life fantasy, he's been okay outside of the last game. But Breece Hall is 3 yards a carry. I don't even think a lot of people realize that. he's been very inefficient on the ground, and to me, he's the best running back in the NFL. If I had to pick one running back, it's going to be him, then CMC. I'm waiting on Garrett Wilson, who I'm extremely high on, but even he hasn't taken that leap that we were expecting. This is year 3 for him. Aaron Rodgers is here, not Zach Wilson, but really even Garrett Wilson is not playing very well. Offensive line, I'd say, has upgraded to an extent compared to last year, but I don't even know if that's really even saying much. Defense is ready. I still feel the defense is ready. Quentin Williams is still my favorite 3-tech in the league. Sauce Gardner, I wasn't very high on him, but I mean, he's clearly elite. Defense is ready. The offense and Robert Saleh, man, they need to get it together. So for me, I could go on and on about how disappointing they've been, but just across the board, but especially offensively, they've been disappointing the hell out of me.
Yeah, man, I told myself I wasn't going to be over here pressing and challenging, but you got Breece Hall as the best running back, then CMC. What about your MVP?
What'd you say?
What about your MVP? Where's he coming in that discussion?
He's top 5.
You guys top 5?
He back in the top 5. He was out of it. I thought he was done, but yeah, Breece, yeah, number 1 for me.
Okay, yeah. And to piggyback everything that you just said, yeah, the offensive line did slightly upgrade, but Morgan Moses, I don't know what the extent of his injuries were. I remember he got injured versus the Patriots. I haven't really caught up on that, but
that was also a concern as well with the O-line and the pieces that they've added.
Yeah, definitely don't
like made of glass
going on the offensive line right now. I think what they're doing, from my vantage point, somebody who doesn't follow the Jets weekly closely, understand the ins and outs and what they're doing. They got a 40-year-old experienced future Hall of Fame field general out there. You got a nice piece here, you got a nice piece there. But I think it's more clicking on the defensive side of the ball because you got a defensive-minded coach who puts his full focus on that side, and then you got Hackett, the former offensive coordinator for the – actually, no. He's the former offensive coordinator for the Packers with Rodgers, but he was a former head coach in Denver.
Head coach, yeah. They booted him out of town. You already know. A lot of people feel nepotism is why he's the OC with the Jets because of the relationship that him and A-Rod had.
It definitely is. I mean, nepotism with their family, but it definitely is like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, that definitely is why he got hired, man. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel as though, like, in terms of what you're talking about earlier with Hassan Reddick, yeah, if you got the respect of your locker room, I feel as though that just wouldn't stretch out to week 5. It just wouldn't. And that's really disappointing because Hassan Reddick is a game changer. He is a beast. So Mason's biggest disappointment was the Jets. My biggest disappointment is also an NFL team whose name begins with the letter J, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Biggest disappointment, the worst team in the league. Aren't they the only winless team? Wake up. Ain't they the only winless team in the league right now? 0-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. Check that out for me, man, because I just, you paid Trevor the money. And it sucks if you're the quarterback who's got paid all that money and you're losing, all eyeballs following you. All eyeballs going to fall on.
They are the only 0-4.
Only 0-4 team. It was crazy because going into last season, I thought, like, there was a lot of hype around the Jaguars and the Lions. With the Jaguars, they had a really close game against the Chiefs in the divisional. You're thinking they're going to come back better. They missed the playoffs this year. You bring in some pieces like Gabe Davis, and that doesn't work out. You lose Calvin Ridley. It's like, oh my goodness. So you draft Brian Robinson? No, Brian Thomas, excuse me, wide receiver out of LSU, first-round pick. It's not clicking, man. And they got to figure that out. I do feel like as weak as the AFC South is, in my opinion, and as talented as that team is on paper, you have got to figure it out. There is no reason that the Jacksonville Jaguars should be looking down the barrel at 0-5. I do think they'll beat the Colts this Sunday. Until the Colts can get it done in Jacksonville, I think this will be the day that they get their first win. But regardless if they beat the Colts or not, the Jacksonville Jaguars have underachieved significantly, and it's almost an embarrassment, to be honest with you. I feel as though, like, well, now you and Trevor Lawrence are married for a while. Doug Peterson is a great head coach. Obviously, he's got a ring to tell you about. He's a good dude with the players. He's holding his guys accountable, but at the end of the day, none of that matters if you're not winning. And that is why the Jacksonville Jaguars are my biggest disappointment for the first quarter of the season.
For me, I guess I just really didn't have much expectation for the Jacksonville Jaguars just in general, you know.
It's easy to have expectations for the Jaguars in that division, man. I know everybody's talking about the Texans and the Colts. If you want to crown them, crown their ass. But I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars was going to be at least, a perennial wild card contender. Early mid-November, you see those graphics on the screen, and on the far right, you see those teams that are in the hunt. You thought you'd see Jacksonville there. I think they're gonna mess around and be picking in the top 10 this season, with or without a new regime. Who knows? But they'll probably go ahead and draft some offensive linemen to protect Trevor. I don't know what their situation is. Also, it's just the fact that you go from having a slugfest with one of the best teams in the league and their backyard in the 2022 divisional playoffs to being basically what the Jaguars have been known to be for the past 30 years, and that's a bottom feeder in the NFL. There's a reason why every single season they're taking a home game away from their local fans and go out in London. You know what I'm saying? They're all over the place. And I guarantee you, if there's going to be one team in the NFL that actually made England their home base, it'd be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I got you. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, after his rookie year, I was like, okay, yeah, he's not the luck comparison that
you can't put that on him as rookie year.
Nah, all them excuses. All them excuses, man.
Nah, man.
You know how I am with those excuses. I was like, he's not it. Just man. I saw Justin Fields rookie year. I was like, he's not it.
No, bro, I'll give you that. I'll give you Justin. But Trevor, you got to look at that situation, man.
But what is he hasn't done any. His second season, his sophomore year was his best year in the NFL. And even that wasn't the, that groundbreaking prodigy that we were expecting him to be since high school, really. Mm-hmm. And I saw what I needed to see his rookie year, man. I was like, he's not that.
You know what I think it is, bro?
I believe he has the second lowest QBR.
I thought it was
starting quarterbacks right now. He's bottom 5, man.
I can't really say all that with Trevor. He went to the playoffs. He came back after digging his team in a deep hole. I think at this point we kind of have our thoughts on Trevor. Right. He's good, but he's not elite. Not right now.
And one thing I will say when we're talking about the divisions, it has shown that the AFC South isn't as deep as I know. I thought that was a deeper division. I think we were talking about the NFC West because when we were arguing about the Seahawks and how deep that division may be. Yeah, AFC South is pretty bad. And Jaguars, I mean, I didn't really have them. I didn't think they were going to do much because I'm not a believer in Trevor Lawrence anymore. But yeah, man, I feel you though. They have been a disappointment to a lot of people's expectation.
I bet y'all up in there in Indianapolis, I knew that long hair ponytail girl wasn't going to do nothing.
Sunshine.
You know what I'm saying? I get it at the end of the day, man. I think the Houston Texans are going to hitch their wagon and just drive away from the competition. It'll be up to Indy. It'll be up to Jacksonville to get their act together, maybe even Tennessee with what Brian Callahan's got going on down there. See who wants to backdoor the way in as a wild card. So it's not over. This is first quarter evaluations, people.
Absolutely. First quarter. So
I don't want you 5 Jaguar fans out there coming after me. You know what I'm saying?
You said what?
I said I want the 5 Jaguar fans out there coming after me. Making that drive down I-75 to come talk to me at the front door.
Hey, people love their teams, man. So that honestly wouldn't surprise me. I mean, didn't they do it for Fulio? No, I should have said that. But yeah, man. So hey, but yeah, definitely some interesting takes there. Like you just said, we're at the quarter mark of the year. A lot more football to go. It's going to be very interesting when we review over the actual MVPs and the coaches of the years and look at who's disappointing at this point, who's been surprising, and seeing how that stacks when we get into December or January. But if you made it this far in the video, deeply appreciate it. If you haven't already, definitely like and subscribe to this video. Help the channel grow on the quest to 1K. Ross, you got anything, any last words, any plugs that you got to mention before we get out of here?
Mount Vernon beats up on Newcastle tonight. Georgia's going to beat up on Auburn tomorrow on a redemption tour. Yeah. Hopefully Washington get it done versus Cleveland Browns on Sunday. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your football on all three levels.
Yes, sir. And just like that, we up out of here. We'll see y'all in the next video. Cheat.